What's going on, everybody? Anon here. And, there's some crazy stuff going on right now. And, just because Pokemon's a children's game, it doesn't mean it's okay for people to act like children. And what I mean is there's a phrase called emotional intelligence. And some of you may have heard of it, some of you may not have. But it's basically understanding the emotions of yourself and really understanding where the other party's coming from, and instead of just being outraged that how dare you, take a second to think about the counterparty, and maybe there's a valid reason why the other group is doing something for a reason, and the world doesn't just revolve around you. And a lot of this craziness is going on right now just around MSRP. And look, the industry's crazy. Prices are going through the roof. And, quite honestly, MSRP isn't even a thing. The whole concept behind MSRP is setting a price point where, in the bad times, it's supposed to penalize retailers for dropping the price too much to create somewhat of an artificial floor conceptually on the product. When markets go up, you just throw it out the window. So for those of you saying, "Look, you should sell at MSRP," like, stop. Like, that is quite honestly the most selfish, self-centered point that anybody can say, because you're not factoring in what the other counterparty is thinking or going through, and the reasons why they're doing what they're doing. And I'll give you an example. So the value of cards and booster boxes, we'll just stick with booster boxes. The value is dependent on really two things. The first of which is, how rare is the booster box? And I say that because if you look at Sword and Shield base, complete garbage set, but the boxes themselves are so rare. Right now, they're selling for $450 a box. So even though the value isn't inside the box, it's non-existent, the rarity of the item is really what's driving the value. The second of which is, if you look at all the Sword and Shield boxes right now, they're not super rare. They're not hard to get, but the value of the cards inside is through the roof. So, for example, the reason why Surging Sparks is priced higher than Paradox Rift is because the expected value of opening a box of Surging Sparks is higher than what it is for Paradox Rift. That has nothing to do with MSRP. To even say that just means you have a functional misunderstanding with reality. So, that would be the equivalent of saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you $5. I want you to give me 20. And if you're not going to give me 20, I'm just going to lose my mind because I think that I should get that money for free." Like, you're a child. You should stop. And the reason I say that is, there's a lot of talk about GameStop. So GameStop came out yesterday, and basically said, "We're not going to take pre-orders anymore, and we're not going to do anything online." So, everybody's like, "Well, they're not getting allocation and this and that for Journey Together." That could be 100% true. It sounds plausible to me. But I think the more relevant reason is when they came out and they took pre-orders for Prismatic Evolutions, Blooming Waters. Originally, they had no idea how bad the allocation was going to be. None of us did. I didn't. Umpteen number of YouTubers with stores, they all had the same situation. So there were no limits. And then all of a sudden, you get your allocation, you have to pay the piper. Now you're haircutting significantly a lot of your customer base, especially the smart ones who got in early. They made their deposit now. Fortunately with GameStop, I think there's like a $5 or $10 deposit. You don't have to put the entire amount of cash down, which is a great policy, quite honestly. But it was such a disaster. I'm sure internally they saw that there was so much noise around that. It's like, well, why even do it? Why take pre-orders? Why even deal with any of this? Because it's not worth the headache. And quite honestly, if person A wants to bitch and moan and complain, there's 10,000 people who would buy that box. So just shut your mouth and just get out of the way. GameStop's world does not revolve around you because you don't understand why GameStop is pricing things the way they're pricing. So I will move on to this other example that I've heard today. Obsidian Flames ETBs are now $82. Crown Zenith $104. That's because they're buying them secondhand. those products haven't been in distribution for ages. 150, I actually heard somebody say 151 bundles at $40, MSRP is 27. Dude, you're going to take the $40 bundles, the market's 65, you're either going to flip them or you're going to sell the packs for 2 times MSRP and you're ripping ship. Like, stop it. Like, the hypocrisy of some of these people is just it's insane. But the reason I point this out for the general listener is don't get caught up in all the hype and all the craziness. People charge X for a product because somebody's willing to pay it. That doesn't make it wrong. It's called supply and demand in capitalism. As an LGS, our store many times charges more than what you pay on eBay or TCG Player. The reason for that is A, we have overhead, we support a gaming community, and B, if we charged a lower amount, we'd blow through product in 2 days. And then all of a sudden, customers don't want to come into the store because we don't have the product that they want. It's business common sense. And if you don't understand that, you need to take a good look in the mirror. And ultimately, you're the problem. You don't sell at MSRP. I'm not going to shop at GameStop. Like, stop it. Then don't shop at GameStop. Good luck getting product. The reason they have to price this stuff where they're pricing it at is A, they're paying more. I mean, 151 bundles from distribution. I got some good pricing, but my worst pricing I think was $45 per bundle. I may have had a $49.99. I don't recall. Maybe not that high, but $39.99 for a bundle that's selling for $70. Like, how can anybody complain about that? And you can talk about the pro. The pro membership, the non-pro membership. Look, GameStop has been a zombie corporation forever. The only reason it still exists is because of the short squeeze with Wall Street bets and their ability to sell overpriced stock to save the company. So yes, it's a dead company. It is never going to bankrupt because the equity in the company is worth something. So they're going to be around for a very long time, whether you like it or not. So they continually try to reinvent themselves, and they haven't been super successful, but it is what it is. I mean, for you or I, anybody who wants to go in and buy cards, generally speaking, they have them, at least up until recently. And the second thing I just want to add is, from a strategic business perspective, removing online pre-orders is brilliant. Because if you force people to go to your stores and interact with everything else around, it's like you go to the grocery store and you go to the checkout, or you go to Target or Walmart, and there's like all this candy and junk and stuff that people just, they just impulse buy. It's the exact same concept. So, why would you sell an item online when you can force people to come into your store? They're still going to do it. You're still going to sell out, probably at a little bit of a better price, because quite honestly, your cost basis to sell that item is going to be a little bit higher because you have to pay your wages, your salaries, your utilities, rents for the location. But you're in the same place. Plus, you have the ability to upsell the customer. Like, this is what they should have done from the start. And it's a little embarrassing that they haven't. But again, the fact that there are people that are, it's fake outrage, right? Because half these guys have rip and ships where they're charging double MSRP or 40% MSRP. But it's okay if you're charging over MSRP for a rip and ship. But don't charge me for that, so I can't make my 60%. Like, stop it. But $39.99 for bundles is 60% below market at $70, and you're complaining about it. Like, you guys must live on a different planet than I live on, because I would buy those bundles and sell them in my store right now if I could. It would be fantastic. So, again, people get caught up with the torches and pitchforks of different personalities and discords and this and that about so-and-so is the bad guy. Just take a step back and just think for a second, why is GameStop changing their policy? I can assure you, every single person who watches this video, there isn't a single second that these stores think about you and give two fucks about screwing you or not screwing you. They look at the big picture about what's in the best interest of the company and what's in the best interest of getting the product to the customers at a price that A, it's going to sell, B, it's going to maximize the profit for the company. And there isn't a single person who's MSRP, 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 who isn't just going to shop for the cheapest deal. When boxes aren't selling for MSRP. I know there's a lot of people that get riled up about it. Well, you want the lower price when the price goes up and the cheaper price when the price goes down. Quite honestly, those customers are garbage. Like, just don't even deal with them. It's convenient when it works in their favor, but again, their emotional intelligence is that of a child because quite honestly, they either don't care about the other party, they only care about themselves and they're self-centered, or they don't understand how to do it. And that'll come with age and maturity. And again, it's a children's game. Everybody starts out as a child. And then, they grow up and, some people move on and they understand the market and economics and supply and demand. And other people just scream MSRP or, get the hell out. So anyway, guys, just want to walk through this. Be a little sensitive to everybody in the industry. It's a tough time. I mean, again, stores are buying prismatic evolutions from Distro for $95. Don't bust their balls because they got to charge you $120. Yeah, everybody's trying to make a living here. Every one of these stores is going to have to do things to make ends meet. Booming times in the industry doesn't mean that everybody's making money hand over fist. So, just take a second, think, and be like, well, if I was in their shoes, what would the world look like? Yeah, you'll be a better person. You'll be less pissed off. And, you'll probably smile a little bit more. But anyway, guys, like, subscribe, join the Discord. We have a big sale coming this week for Pokemon Day. So stay tuned. More information to come.